And the name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Wham! Cut zap. First try. Why so serious?
He's a fast killer.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
I'm freaking pump! I've been drinking green tea all goddamn day!
I don't know. I have a bad feeling about this.
Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Good Day for a Movie podcast, and we are brought to you by GD4GD. So head on over to GD4GD.com and buy some awesome gear, because $10 of every sale gets donated to their nonprofit partner, which is currently the Pink Agenda. That's going to be going all the way through the end of 2020. They're a nonprofit that's focusing on raising money for breast cancer research, a great cause, and they have some really cool stuff. So definitely go check it out. I am your host, Jacob. With me, as always, Tate.
What's up?
And
hi.
And we have a very special guest today. It's going to be our first guest review podcast. Kaden.
Hey.
He's in the building, folks. I don't know if he even has his movie chosen yet.
We also only have 3 mics right now. We're kind of playing this as we go, but we're going to make it work. So Kaden, what we've kind of decided as a special guest is that we're going to let the guest choose the movie, and then we'll just do everything else that we normally do, but it'll be kind of a break in our normal rotation. And you have free reign.
Yeah, great. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Fargo.
Fargo.
You guys seen Fargo?
We've all seen it.
Yeah.
You've all seen it. Okay. Well, I have backup options.
Well, good. We'll do the old good old 3-strike method.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a veto for me there.
Yeah, we did just. I mean, it is a good movie, but we did watch it fairly recently too. So,
wow. Wow. Okay. So next pick is Sicario.
I have never seen Sicario.
Sicario is so good.
Have you seen it though?
Yes. It has been a pandemic watch.
I've never seen it.
But
so I'm in.
It's more I'm on the fence of this one. I saw it somewhat recently, but I did love it.
Recent watch.
I think the fact that Kaden hasn't seen Sicario,
and
really makes me also want to see Sicario.
Yeah.
Again,
it needs to be done.
Okay. Lovely.
Boom. All right, folks. Well, we will see you on the other side.
State Department is pulling an agent that specializes in cartel activity.
FBI!
You'll be part of the team.
What's our objective?
To dramatically overreact.
You're not American. Who do you work for now?
I go where I'm sent. Welcome to Juarez.
Somebody say a prayer for me. They kill me on Tuesday, bury me on Wednesday, mourn for me Thursday.
Gotta be careful around these people.
You gotta let me go.
I just want to know what I'm getting into.
You saw things you shouldn't have seen.
He's a hitman.
He works for anyone who will turn him loose.
Speak the truth, even if they crucify me. Bring my soul, even if they change my body. Look the gold, bring the word of God. Beware those prophets that touch a leg before they touch a soul.
Nothing will make sense to your American youth.
You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go.
But in the end, you will understand.
All right, folks, we are back, and we have finished Sicario. I loved it to start off. I think great performances from everybody. Josh Brolin, great. Benicio del Toro, great. Emily Blunt, great. Daniel Kaluuya?
Who was he?
He was the black guy.
Great. Was he Get Out?
Yes, I believe so.
When was this movie made, by the way?
This movie was made in 2015.
Okay, so and Get Out was like right after that, like 16 or 17?
I think something like that.
Okay.
I will also say This movie was written by one of my favorite people in Hollywood. His name is Taylor Sheridan. He did Hell or High Water, this one, Sicario.
Does he do Sicario too?
I believe so. That's what I'm checking on right now. Wind River. He did not write Sicario 2.
Looks like I'm not watching Sicario 2.
Definitely not watching Sicario 2.
And I think the best thing he's ever done is the TV show. I should say the best thing he's ever done so far is the TV show Yellowstone that's on right now with Kevin Costner.
I've heard that's pretty good.
I also saw that he wrote Sons of Anarchy, which I've never seen, but got a lot of praise.
Again, yeah, I've heard that show's really good.
Oh, I'm totally wrong. He definitely did write Sicario 2.
And that's what I'm watching.
I was confused.
All right, I'm back. We're watching Sicario 2, baby.
It's not called Sicario 2. It's called Sicario, Day of the Soldado. And so I was just looking for Sicario 2.
Dia de los Soldado.
Los Dios.
But yeah, I mean,
probably bad Spanish.
I think what Taylor Sheridan does so good is makes these. This is definitely the least Western of the movies that I just kind of listed off, but there's still a lot of Western kind of vibes to it. And movies like that, I mean, sign me up. You know I'm going to be there, even if it took 5 years.
This movie, I just kind of love how, I mean, it's entertaining the entire time. It keeps you on your toes kind of about where the story's going and what's happening, and as it keeps like developing. But I think one of the things that I love is that it kind of starts out with just Emily Blunt, and then then it slowly like adopts another character, and then adopts another character, and you start to like learn more, and it starts to slowly build on. And then it slowly, at the end, I don't even think it's really just about Emily Blunt in the end. It's about a much bigger picture. But it seems at the beginning like it's just going to be, she's the main character and it's all about her story. But I like the way that they tell it in the way that it gets much more complex. And in the end, it's just a massive picture that's really hard to even comprehend. And yeah. Kaden, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, at the very beginning, I was kind of wondering why it started with the introduction to Sicario as a word and all that, and then
what was it? It was Spanish for hitman.
Yeah, but then it was coming from the Israelite zealots that were fighting off the Roman.
That's right. That was the first definition that they said.
Soldiers, and so to have the movie end up being largely about the hitman was fascinating.
Were you? I mean, like in the end, obviously, it's clear who it was, but halfway through the movie, did you know, like, was it in your mind, like, is there one person that is the hitman, or did you know kind of the entire time that Benicio del Toro or whatever was the hitman?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty clear from the story, but also from the trailers, unfortunately. One reason why I hate watching trailers before seeing something.
I don't know. I'm sure I've seen the trailer, but I don't think that it's in my mind enough to spoil it for me. But I don't know. I feel like I'm relatively good at like kind of picking up plot points where the director wants me to pick up plot points. And I think I saw how complex the character was going to be kind of from the start, where he's certainly not the good guy, but at the same time, it's hard to call him the bad guy.
Yeah, and I just had that question because as I was rewatching it, I obviously knew who he is and like who he was at the end, his whole character. But rewatching it, I was wondering, like, oh, at what points could he like be this bad guy, not the hitman, or like, is he going to turn on these people? And so, yeah, I was just kind of curious to see if it was clear to you guys from the very beginning or not. But
at the very beginning, they start him off. His character has some sympathy because he's having the nightmare on the airplane, and she's asking, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine.
Wow, that goes to one of my favorite quotes about this in this entire movie, where she's just like, is there anything I should know? And he's like, it's like explaining how a watch works. He's like, let's just keep our eye on the time.
Right now.
That's like one of my favorite lines of this entire movie.
What are your thoughts?
I love the movie. I think I'm really impressed because I think we only saw it a few months ago, and I was nervous it was going to be rewatching it too quickly. It wasn't. I looked at my phone a couple times just because I knew what was happening, but I was pretty captivated for the most part for having seen it recently. One thing that I was like, I didn't appreciate as much the first time. Holy crap, the music's intense.
Yeah,
and it's
the
really
music,
good.
Yeah. I mean, even in that opening scene where it's just like that music that's like dun 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 dun, and it just kind of slowly builds and builds for like 5 minutes, or like that entire scene where they're kind of just busted into that house, finding all those bodies, and then even to the explosion, it like continues onto that. Yeah, the music was great.
It could have only been like 3 tracks.
Yeah,
regardless,
so it was done by
really good.
Johan Johannesson. Was the composer, and he actually passed away a couple of years, so big RIP to him. But let's see, he did Arrival, Sicario, Prisoners. So he's done a few of these kind of suspenseful movies, and I think this type of score, like I kind of heard it. Not that it reminded me of Arrival, but once I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And in the same way with Prisoners, where these types of movies kind of need this suspenseful score to underlie everything, and it really just kind of raises the stakes.
When you said Arrival, that reminded me that I believe the director also did Arrival.
Yeah, who's this director? Does he have anything?
Yeah, Denis Villenueve.
Yeah. Taylor Sheridan directed which one?
Hell or High Water.
No, he didn't direct that one.
Wind River. You're right. I'm sorry. Thank you.
But he wrote these 2, and yeah, it was Denis
Villeneuve, and he did Blade Runner 2049. He's also doing the Dune movie that is now set to come out next year. That was supposed to come out.
Those are all honestly some pretty
months.
solid films.
Yeah,
I've seen all those, I think, and
I have never seen Blade Runner 2049, and it's definitely on the list of.
It's okay. It's not as good as the original.
I need to see. He also did Prisoners, Denis Villeneuve.
Another thing about this film that I really liked is they really take in all those scenes, they really put you in the shoes of those people, of like the Emily Blunt's character and everybody else. And I think back to that, like I think one of my favorite kind of like entire scenes of the movie, even though it's a really long one, I guess you could say. But when they're going to capture the Manuel's brother or whatever his name is,
Guillermo.
Yeah, where they have like the Mexican police that are kind of helping them taxi them into the town, into this location, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, this is the easy part. The hard part comes at the border." And like and then that how they trail, and just everything that you feel from them being in the car on the way in, picking him up, and on the way out, and all the things that they're seeing, and then that entire scene where they're stuck at the border and they're just like looking around, eyeing people because they're like, "This is exactly where it would happen." Basically, it just isn't his second rodeo. He's done this before. He's been there. He recognized all of it. And
I believe the saying is first rodeo, but I'm sure this isn't his second one either.
Fuck.
They're experienced fighters.
Shit. It's good.
So touching on that, this is just a funny point that I thought of in my head because Benicio del Toro plays Alejandro in this, and they're going to pick up Guillermo, and there's a Guillermo del Toro who's a director who did like Pan's Labyrinth and Shape of Water. I was like, wait, I'm connecting some dots. I'm sure that wasn't on purpose, but it's just kind of funny in my head. I was like, whoa.
Sicarioception.
Yeah.
But I just really I feel like the entire film, they just really do a really good job of putting you in the shoes of those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was very impressed.
And they didn't make Emily Blunt's character, whose name I don't even know, come to think of it.
Yeah, what?
Do we even get introduced to her?
Kate, yeah.
Sure. Well, they don't make her weak. There's 2 points with, she is very surprised by the border crossing scene, but she shoots the Federale.
Yeah.
And she's realizing that that's the right call, and then she's still concerned. And then later on, she's like, trying to have a break, and she
Kate,
realizes
you can say what she was trying to do.
Well, she's just she's meeting the Punisher guy,
John Bernthal.
Well, she hasn't seen anything that he's in to realize that it's not going to be a relaxing scene with him, and so she realizes instantly that the wristband is there.
Wristband out.
I think
so. She's willing to fight, even though she's she's not in a position to win that fight.
They do a really good job of setting up her character and everything, because you're right, like she's clearly not like someone who's weak and needs help and needs all of these things along the way. Like she's clearly a very strong woman, but she's just out of her element in a lot of these things. Like her day-to-day job didn't include this level of like threat to her life. And so, but she's clearly like, she's out of her element, but she's clearly strong enough and smart enough to where she can like listen to, because I mean, Benicio del Toro even mentions, where he's just like, you need to watch out for the state troopers. They're the ones that you got to like look out for because they're not all good. And so she hears that, recognizes it, and it's, so she was very smart, very strong, but she needed help in these situations because she was just, not in her element.
It's like the big fish in the little pond analogy. She was a big fish in her little pond.
Yep.
But then when she got into the big pond,
she was a little fish.
Yeah.
But she held her ground.
She did. Yeah. But man, that world.
And I love her attitude. Like in that last tunnel scene where she's just always curious and she's always wanting to kind of dig deeper and find out.
She knows that there's something not right going on.
She's not accepting anything that just is on a surface level. She knows that there's something deeper, and she's constantly trying to figure that out.
And the tension in the film keeps ramping up. Comparing those two scenes, the border crossing scene and the tunnel scene, that's where the rules of engagement, they're both given right at the end, or right before the shooting starts. And at the border crossing, the agents aren't allowed to shoot or anything until the other
They're
side
like,
makes
you have to
move.
match the others. If they get out, then we get out.
Right, and then it only takes them just barely to open the door, and then everybody just storms out of the car and knows exactly what they're doing, sets up a perimeter, and then later on with the tunnel scene, they say, "Oh yeah, guns free. Just do what you need to do."
And that tunnel scene, I do love the way they kind of incorporate those little shots of the night vision goggles and stuff like that.
Yeah, the thermal shots were really cool.
Because like that whole, like, imagining just a fight in a tunnel. That's so insane.
Oh, yeah. And I really also liked how when we first went into the tunnel and we see, I don't know who was in the lead, but whoever takes out the knife and is going forwards, and then like it kind of like the camera stops there as he walks past, and then we pick back up, I'm assuming, which is like the Emily Blunt character's perspective. And as she walks by, she's like, you can hear the knives like going into people and like fights going on in front, and then you like kind of see the aftermath, and then you get into the faction and the fighting.
Pretty sure it was Sicario. Alejandro. Benicio del Toro.
Oh my gosh. So
let me know when
her and just to like her gun just got shot out of her hand, right?
Yeah.
She didn't get hit at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just checking on that.
Well, I mean, she did get shot by Benicio.
Yeah.
that was very surprising. That's kind of right when I was like, oh, okay, so this guy is definitely not, because I thought they were setting him up to actually end up being like a really good guy.
Yep.
And like doing everything like not necessarily by the book, because we'd already seen that with some of the torture stuff. But I thought we were going to like find out that, like he was certainly in this for that
he's about
reasons,
to go rogue.
But that we like, I didn't see like the whole, and he didn't go rogue. He went by the book, but it was just a different book that Emily Blunt's character has never seen.
It was the book that everyone else was in on, but not Emily Blunt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And
but they do paint the picture as like it looks like he's about to go against everybody and just do his own thing.
Yeah. See, I actually didn't think that. I thought that was the plan like throughout the whole time. I thought that like Emily Blunt was left out of this on purpose, like, and that's the reason, because she wanted to tell everybody. And would have if she wasn't held at gunpoint to sign the...
Yeah, and it took me till this time seeing it to notice that they actually say it in the dialogue that is the plan when they're in the motel before they leave. What's his name? Thanos?
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin. He was like, all right,
Thanos.
Everyone knows the plan. Like, get the target on the other side of the tunnel and leave. And first time I actually thought that Sicario was going rogue, but at this time I was like, oh no.
I didn't even pick that up the second time.
Yeah, it's in the dialogue. Yeah, I heard that and I was like,
I mean, I knew that he wasn't, but I was like, this is the scene that I was like, where he looks like he's gonna go crazy.
I didn't think he was going rogue. Maybe I just missed something entirely because I didn't pick it up in the hotel
I didn't
either.
think he was
Maybe
going
I was
rogue
just
at all.
overthinking it both times.
I thought it was just that was the plan, but they knew that it wasn't.
See, I thought it looked like he was
right
like breaking off from the pack and like being sneaky, and she was kind of like, "Oh, what's he doing?" But yeah, I guess, man, yeah. Let's go into though that last scene. I think he is the last guy I want hunting me down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I'm not Emily Blunt's character in this or Quiet Place. She's just got a few rough roles.
Oh no, I'm talking about when he goes into the mansion.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the
everything
very
that he
end,
does
yes.
when he then takes
Yes.
out all the guards and everything. Like
I
and
was
the family.
very shocked that he killed the family.
Yeah. Which the first time I saw it, there's like a 0% chance. I was like, he's gonna tell the family to walk away. He's gonna tell the family to leave because he makes it seem that way. He's like, "Do your kids speak English? No. All right, let's talk in English so they don't hear what we're saying." But
Well, he already killed the policeman. Now, of course, the policeman was guilty of
dirty,
collaborating with.
Which I do want to get into
those guys.
That guy's character a little bit,
but he also, everybody he kills, he just does it extraordinarily quickly. He's in charge, and he's okay.
Very good shot. I didn't see him miss a single person.
Yeah, did you even see on the guard where he did the double tap? He went pop, like body, head as if like.
What'd you think with the tunnel scene where they go between? It seemed to be Sicario had the fancier infrared, and Emily Blunt, maybe the others had the green, other style.
It almost looked like he didn't have the normal army gear, and they all had he had his own.
I think I think
gear.
there were a few of them that had the thermal, and I think there were like a mix of them that had the just basic night vision goggles.
But
what I got, because there were a few shots where it wasn't from Benicio del Toro's character, with the thermal shots, and you could like kind of see him in frame too. So I think there were multiple people with that and multiple people without it.
I think it was just to answer your question, I think it was your question, but was just the director's way of singling him out from the rest of the pack, that he's kind of that idea of the wolf. And so when they're all matching in their gear and they all have the same thermal stuff, and he's kind of putting on his own mask and putting on his own and testing out his own equipment, and it's all black and
And you can even bring that into the FBI agents too, because they had different gear than the other, I'm assuming Marines did.
Yeah.
And so he was kind of a wolf, they were kind of a wolf pack, and then the two FBI agents were also kind of separated on their own as well.
And it makes sense that his equipment is better, even just fitting that theme that she's trying to wade into deep water in a way, and she doesn't have the right equipment to see where she's going.
Yeah, she bumps her head on the thing, and she's like,
yeah,
fuck
that
this
was
helmet.
tough. All right, after she saw the other guy take his helmet off.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, not a place I would take my helmet off.
No, I would put a whole helmet over my face, so when I get shot in the face, it just bounces off.
All right, I have a question for you guys about because Kaden, you brought it up earlier, but the cop and the reason for why they include those earlier shots, and even the last scene of kind of his family and that life in this film, because I think, I guess I want to see your thoughts on why you think they included that.
Yeah, I think the reason is because it kind of touches on the last note I have down is this was a good movie to show just how corrupt like everything is related to the cartel, because it's not that every single member of the cartel is a horrible person. The majority of those low-level types of people probably have families, and this is the only way that they are not killed, by saying, okay, yeah, I'm going to work with you, and just running some low-level drug type of stuff. And so I think it was a way to not to humanize the cartel as a whole, but the cartel individual members.
So I didn't see them take the time to say this guy didn't have a choice, although in principle I agree with you. What I thought was interesting about the family scenes was that the boy absolutely revered his father and wanted him to come to the soccer game. The mother barely spoke to the father and just didn't, she already seemed to, realize he was compromised and wasn't happy with the situation, but didn't really have any say. I don't even know if she had any lines other than just like saying, okay, like once. And then the policeman just seemed tired. Every single scene was just him being asleep. And so I don't know if there's more significance to that, but it just seemed like it's not this picture of, oh, by the way, he had this nice family at home and he needed to be there for his wife and son, although he did. It's also just that his life was also just had a huge weight on it. And we don't know till later in the film why he's so tired, right? It's because he's working the night shifts there. But they could have gone more in the direction of saying, he didn't have a choice, or even made him more of a character. Instead, they just kind of said he's beaten down. We don't really know this person, but his family is in trouble, and the boy's just a boy. He's curious, and the only thing we really see from the cop is that when his son reaches for the gun, he wakes right up and is like, "No, don't do that."
Yeah, I think I asked this question because the first time I watched this film, I didn't really pay much attention to the cop and his story and his involvement in the story. But I think seeing it again, he was kind of my main focus of why the director kind of threw those shots in there, in those scenes. And I think it's because I think you both nailed on a lot of the big points about why. But I agree that I think they just, like, he was clearly, like, at least he seemed like it, a good father. Because, like, the way he interacted with his kid, he was tired, but he was like, yeah, you play soccer, like, kid with him, and then he's take him to a soccer game, tell him not to, like, ever touch a gun, and so he just clearly showed signs of that he was a good father and that he cared about his kid.
No, you don't want this life.
Exactly, yeah, and that is maybe that's like a little hint in the he wasn't forced into it. Like, he clearly didn't enjoy, or it seemed like he didn't enjoy that he was part of it, and also in that last scene where he's basically kidnapped by the Sicario, he is scared shitless, and he just wants to go home. He just wants to make sure his family's okay and all these things. So I think that they include that because of what you said, Jacob. He's just one of the low life members in this cartel, in this entire process, in this entire organization. But it doesn't necessarily make him a bad guy. This is things that are happening because of his job and because of his situation. He has to do this just because it's the best decision probably for his family. And it's just the impacts of the entire process of the cartel and their organization that it has on these small families spread all throughout Mexico and all these other countries that have this too. So I think that last scene too really sealed it, where it just shows the mom, and the mom was clearly upset with him the entire time. But she didn't say anything, probably because she couldn't. But in that last scene where she just she knows he's dead. The kid is just like, he's a kid. He doesn't really know what to think of it. But they get up, they go to the soccer game anyways. In the middle of the soccer game, they just hear all these gunshots, and game is paused, and then you hear the whistle. But that was actually my favorite part about the film, I think, this time, is just they're shining the light on, this is just part of their everyday life. They deal with this, and they are almost blind to, or they kind of sweep it under the rug, all the consequences that happen from it. And so, I don't know, I really liked his whole involvement in the film.
Yeah, not much to say on top of those three. But
are you saying that we nailed it?
I think kind of.
It's good.
No, I think kind of going back to how it's ingrained in the community. I think it is, as fucked up as it is, like, being a low level part of the cartel probably pays higher and gives your kids a better opportunity. And I think that's why the cop was highlighted. And it reminds me of City of God.
If he doesn't, some other cop will. And at that point, like, it's not like because he doesn't, it won't be done. It's just whether he benefits from it or not.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of like, all right, well.
And there is, and I mean, you guys all said it again, like, he shows great affection for the kid, like, at home responsibility to be a good father and to hide the risks he's taking to protect his kid or to try and give his kid a better life. And yeah, of course mom would be pissed, but she was also like, I think that last scene was reflective of, like, oh,
it's kind of just like she just knows the world that they live in, and she just kind of just, yeah, there's just nothing she can really do about it.
I'm going to challenge. So where's the actual evidence of the things you just described with him hiding things from his kid, and also that he is preparing a better opportunity for his kid?
He doesn't really, like, say anything about what he does. Like, in his kid's eyes, he could just be a night shift cop. Like, we didn't really get a lot of, between their interaction, evidence that, I mean, he didn't say much. So I would assume that he probably doesn't say much. And in the times that he's around his family and awake, he's more focused on, like, his kid's interests and attention than saying, oh, by the way, I delivered a shit ton of cocaine last night. You want to talk about it?
Well, and when I hear you say that he's hiding it from his kid, I don't think he like does anything to like hide it intentionally, but it's just kind of shielding him. I think might have been the other word that I would use, because it's just kind of like he doesn't let him touch the gun.
Word.
He doesn't, like, whenever his kid was staring at the gun, starts to reach for it, and he just stops him quickly. And so I think maybe not hiding, but maybe just trying to protect.
So that's fair. How about the making a better life
better
for
life
the kid? Yeah.
And I think that just goes back to kind of the idea of he's a cop. There are going to be some dirty cops that do this, and we don't know the whole backstory, but like Jacob said, he could have been forced into this, which if he was forced and they said, do this or like we'll mess with your family or something like that, that could be a way. I think the other way that it is possible is because of maybe there is more, which we don't know any of this backstory stuff, so this is all hypothetical, but that maybe is compensated more for what he's doing. And so it kind of goes back to if he doesn't do it, another cop will, and so he might as well do it because it's around.
So maybe one higher consideration for the film is, I think there's really only one character that we see that has a choice in the film. And I think you guys can guess who that is.
Thanos.
No, I'm not sure Thanos actually has a choice.
Are you talking about
either. I think
like,
the
the
Sicario.
Texas Ranger?
No, I
From
think
the very beginning who had like 2 lines, because that was my guess.
no, I think Sicario is the only choice, and the only choice for him is whether to kill how many of the other people to kill. You know?
And you mean by choice because everything else is just like, I guess, yeah, I could.
It's kind of
open,
open,
I could
right?
see that. But
Did anybody else make a choice in the film?
Not really. I mean, yeah, I think
Emily
that
Blunt
is-
made the choice to go into the bank. Boom.
Yeah. Okay, you got me.
It's good.
No, I think you're right, though. I think that the only choices that were really made was from Sicario, whether to kill the family, to kill the cop, because those 2 things were unnecessary. The same things would have happened if he wouldn't have done those compared to if he did.
And I think and to even highlight, I mean, when I just said that Emily Blunt made a choice, she got spanked for all of her choices that she made. So even the choices that she did make, they weren't like it clearly came back to get her.
Right. So maybe to qualify it even more with anybody who was actually in control and able to make a choice. Because Emily, she
wanted control.
Yeah, she could kind of run around and do anything she tried. She clearly wasn't in control. Like once you knew the full story,
When she tried to get control.
Yeah, it's like, she goes in the bank. Okay, we can make this. We can make this work.
She kept fighting, but she just wasn't ever going to get what she thought she wanted.
I feel I had a breakthrough.
Ooh.
Going back to the time quote, how metaphorically like things just keep going. I think the reason it feels like a lot of them, and this is a consistent theme with a lot of other cartel TV shows and movies and just stories you hear, how the times just keep going. Like for the low level cop, I think it goes to like if it wasn't him, if it was someone else. And that is like a consistent theme with a lot of cartel media is this either you don't or you do it, either you be the cop for us or we threaten your family. And so who knows whether that was the cause. There could have been a lot of causes, but he's dead. Someone's probably going to replace him. The kids are playing soccer. They hear a crap ton of gunfire. They continue playing soccer. Emily Blunt steps into this world where Thanos is just having a good time because this is probably his 10th rodeo of the month.
Man, he is so positive. He was loving it.
Go ahead.
And Benicio del Toro is just like, fuck, here we go again, going to murder another Jefe. And I think the theme might just be like this.
It's just
war.
a giant system. It's just a giant machine.
It just keep
it's just going to keep turning. And kind of going to Kaden's point of nobody has a choice of what to do. It's just a giant.
Yeah, and in Emily Blunt's world, she thinks that
she thinks she can break the
grinding and
system.
she's fighting. And then when she really sees like the inner gears, I think she
just feels defeated and
painfully sees that
yeah,
like time keeps going.
Well, I'd be willing to bet that the very first scene raiding the house in Arizona takes place in the morning. Because there's this overarching idea with all of Emily's scenes all of Emily's fighting scenes, they kind of happen in order of a day. So you kind of just feel like, even though the story takes place over a couple of days, you see one day in the life of Emily's transformation. Man,
Kaden, I really liked your question about choice. As Jacob said in one of the other episodes, when was connecting all of his synapses, in her opening scene and like in her when she was in charge of that whole thing, she was in control for that like entire thing. Like they had their plan, they busted in there, they called it all in. She just felt like she was in control, and she was making all the choices for what to do, and then she gets put into this new team and this new bigger problem, and all of a sudden it's just a way too big of a complex system for her to even try and take control.
So there's something interesting with her character, because early in the film, her boss says, you know, you have to volunteer for this. Is this something you want to do? And thinking about her motivations throughout the film, because she keeps on going through worse and worse things, why does she have to keep going? You know, at one point, the other character says to her that she should, you know, they should just walk away, and she's like, no, I need to know what they used me for. So it's kind of interesting to think about what her motivations might be. I'm not entirely sure they were that clear. I mean, she could have walked away, but she had some innate curiosity.
Yeah, I think she just had this belief that she could figure this out and that she could take it down and that she could do all these things by the book as you're supposed to do it. Mm-hmm. So I think her curiosity, and like even when she found out she was literally just on the team to just be used, to fill in that bubble of, yeah, we have her on the team, we can do this. She still pushes forward and says, I need to figure this out. I need to do this because this is the right thing. And then she just at the end of the day, there is no right way to do it.
And finding the right moment. I think she thought she could find the right moment to pull her gun and say, no, this is the line, and she's not in charge of where the line is.
And she thought that moment was when she came out the other side of that tunnel, because she didn't think that Sicario would shoot her, but, well, he did.
That actually, the first time I saw that surprised the shit out of me.
Oh, yeah.
It's so fast. I mean, the last time we saw them, it's like he's taking care of her, and she's just been through the trauma, and he saved her life and everything, and he's like, no, I'm going to shoot you now, and don't do that.
He's just like, just take a couple deep breaths. I'll be back.
There's no like dialogue, like, I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Just bang, bang.
Yeah.
Sit down. Emily Blunt may be my favorite actress.
She was great.
I have one last point. Josh Brolin's character's name is Matt Graver. Matt Graver, we're lucky enough to be joined by the founder of Good Day for a Great Day. This character needs to be the spokesman.
He needs to be
it's going to be a great day.
Yeah, just the entire time was saying, it's a good day.
This is so exciting.
And he's like, we touch down right when we get there. Are you guys excited or what? He loves his job. He's someone who screams passion.
He's just hanging out in flip-flops in like the FBI office. Josh Brolin's just the man.
Us having a good day is like sleeping in a little bit, watch some football with the boys, drink some beer.
Us having a good day is just killing so many cartel members.
We got to lead on
down the cartel.
Giant drug cartel.
Yeah.
Good day.
He said, you got a cartel you want me to take down? Good morning.
I do not want to know what a bad day is in the world of Thanos.
Yeah. He's clearly in his element.
Well, he did get punched by Emily Blunt. It kind of had to.
Yeah, that kind of threw a little.
That.
She could punch me if she wants to.
Well, she probably would.
Deal. All right, let's move into some scores here.
I got one last question.
Oh yes, one last.
So I was thinking about this at the end. If you had one person on your team in paintball and you had to choose between Sicario, Bourne, and Shooter, the what's his
Mark Wahlberg.
Wahlberg, yeah, from Shooter. Who you taking?
Bourne. All day, every day. Are you kidding? Come on, son.
I have a feeling Bourne has at least missed one shot in his life. I don't think Sicario has. So I'm taking Sicario.
Yeah, Sicario also had people just standing. Like, oh, the guy got stabbed in the neck. Bop, bop, bop.
Kaden? Do you know?
Bourne.
Have you seen these movies?
I have not seen Shooter.
You haven't seen Shooter?
No.
Pretty good.
See, I mean, the fact that you guys haven't chose Shooter is the only reason that I think I'm making me want to take Shooter. But I think I got to go Sicario. He just seems ruthless.
Yeah, but Bourne, I mean, there could be 20 Sicarios that are going to storm the compound and you like go and turn on the heater and then it would blow up and then he would kill everybody with a pipe.
Whoa. This is paintball. This is paintball we're talking about. We don't need Bourne to kill somebody with an envelope.
I entirely forgot you said
the
paintball.
Best person that's shooting.
I did too. Yeah. We both have short-term memory.
Yeah, man. Okay.
Jeez.
Does that change your answers?
Well, I still don't want to play paintball with them. I'd be too afraid.
Oh, man. We can all at least agree that we don't want Bond.
I don't know.
Bond would be busy sipping a cocktail. And just be like, well, for that reason, I'm with Bond. Because we'd just be watching all y'all play paintball and we'd just be sipping cocktails and hanging out with Ana de Armas.
That was great.
Yeah, I don't think you win paintball by just falling down a bunch of buildings.
All right, let's see here. So let's move into some scores here. Rotten Tomatoes, 92%. Boo. IMDb, very low, 7.6 out of 10. And Metacritic, 82 out of 100, also low.
Who wants to go first?
I have my score ready. We'll go to Kaden last since this is his pick. I am giving this movie a 95 out of 100.
Wow. I like. All right, so I'm toying with my score, but I just really like the whole idea, and I think it really summarizes it with that phrase about the watch and how this is just a big complex system with a lot of moving parts that you just can't understand. It's very hard to understand, and so seeing it again, I just liked it. I think even more. So I was probably gonna go with a 90, but I'm gonna go with a 95 as well, Jacob.
Wow.
I am going to go with a 94.
All right, Kaden.
That's all I have.
You have the last score. What's it going to be for you?
80 out of 100.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe even slightly lower. So here's the thing with movies. There are a lot of movies, and I thought this one was extremely enjoyable throughout and had some good characters and things, but I did think it was missing some things. It reminded me a little bit of, what was that Christopher Nolan movie that came out that was like, Dunkirk. I'm thinking Dunkirk, right? Where it tells 3 stories and then it kind of is in the day of the life of either one of them, which was also an enjoyable movie and pretty fun. And right after I saw it, I probably would rate it pretty high, but I don't know if it'll stick with me that much in terms of like a larger narrative or a little bit more plot development, because it was really enjoyable to be in the shoes of, Emily Blunt's character. But I'm not sure it really went a step higher into the nature of good and evil or anything like that. Kind of the question about the choice is like, did we see characters that, changed through the film? Maybe Emily, but her character just seemed to be beaten down so much. I mean, even at the end, she still wanted to do the things she would do in the first scene and be the good guy, but she just had a gun to her head and was gonna get killed. Then, of course, she did let the Sicario guy get away, but the way that was framed seemed to be a little bit a matter of convenience. I mean, what's she gonna do? Like, shoot him from ways away, and then some other people are gonna kill her, and like, you don't feel like that's
you don't want to shoot at him and miss.
Yeah, he already warned her about not pointing the gun at him. So it was a really good film. I guess I feel like I have to hold back in terms of putting it ahead as something really special.
Yeah, well, and I do think that, like, sometimes I think it is, like, everyone has their different scales and, like, what they mean to him. So I think 80 is, more than fair.
I mean, that's a very good score. All right, folks, that is going to do it for today. If you have thoughts or questions, you can shoot us an email at gd4ampodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at gd4, that's the number 4 in there, gd.movies. Again, gd4.movies on Instagram. We're also on Twitter at gd4gd_movies. We also would love for you to leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen on, especially Apple Podcasts. That's the one that's going to shoot us up the charts and make us relevant to everybody. I mean, we're probably already number one, but every review helps. All right, we will catch you next week at the movies.
When you come to the end of the line with a buddy who is more than a brother and a little less than a wife, getting blind drunk together is really the only way to say farewell.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.